Picture this. Two players stand on the same pitch, in the same final, 20 years and 19 days apart in age. One of them is the greatest of his generation, chasing the one trophy that's eluded him his entire career. The other was born 3 weeks after that legend played his first World Cup for Argentina. This was the first time in World Cup history that two players started a final separated by more than 20 years in age. Lionel Messi and Lamine Yamal. One of them walked away heartbroken. The other became a world champion before he could legally rent a car in most countries. This is how an 18-year-old from a working-class Barcelona suburb ended up on the biggest stage in football and left as a legend. If you've watched football over the last 2 years, you already know the name. Lamine Yamal isn't just a rising star. He's been rewriting record books since he was 15. But 2026 was different. This wasn't a Champions League appearance or a league goal. This was the World Cup, the tournament every kid dreams about, the one stage that turns great players into legends. And Yamal didn't just show up to it. He became one of the central characters in one of the most dramatic finals in the competition's history. Today, we're breaking down exactly how a teenager went from Barcelona's academy pitches to lifting the World Cup trophy, and why his story matters far beyond the scoreline. Let's rewind. Lamine Yamal was born in the Esplugues de Llobregat, Spain, to a Moroccan father and an Equatorial Guinean mother, and he joined FC Barcelona's famous La Masia academy at just 7 years old. From there, his rise was almost absurd in speed. He made his first team debut for Barcelona at 15, becoming the youngest player to ever appear for the club in La Liga history. People started comparing his dribbling and vision to Messi almost immediately, not because it was fair, but because it was genuinely hard not to. Then came Euro 2024. Yamal helped Spain win their 4th European title, while claiming the tournament's Young Player Award, becoming both the youngest player and the youngest goal scorer in the competition's history. That alone would define most careers. But Yamal was just getting started. So when the 2026 World Cup rolled around, expectations were sky high, maybe unfairly high, and early on, it looked like the tournament might humble him. Yamal was actually a doubt for Spain's opening matches after recovering from a hamstring injury suffered while playing for Barcelona. He came off the bench in a cautious opening draw against World Cup debutants Cape Verde. And for a while, pundits wondered if this would be a quiet tournament for the wonderkid. Olympics. Then came the Saudi Arabia game. It was Yamal's first World Cup start, and he needed just 10 minutes to score, becoming Spain's second youngest scorer at a World Cup finals in history. The doubts didn't disappear completely. For a stretch of the tournament, Yamal was actually being described as underwhelming by some outlets, with just 1 goal and no assist through 6 appearances, even as Spain marched into the semifinals. But football has a strange sense of timing. Yamal's numbers weren't loud. His moments were. He turned 19 the day before Spain's semifinal against France, drew a penalty in that very match, and helped push Spain into the final. In doing so, Yamal became the second youngest player in 60 years to draw a penalty in a World Cup knockout match, behind only England's Michael Owen back in 1998. And here's a detail that says everything about the psychological weight Yamal already carries. Since joining Real Madrid, Kylian Mbappé had lost every single knockout match, club or country, in which he faced Yamal directly. Then came the final, Spain versus Argentina. Messi's last real shot at the trophy that had never included a World Cup win against a specific opponent in the modern era. It went to extra time. It stayed scoreless deep into the second period of overtime, until substitute Ferran Torres pounced on a bouncing ball in the box in the 106th minute and buried it under the crossbar, sending Spain into delirium and Argentina into heartbreak. Spain won 1-0, becoming world champions for the second time in their history. FIFA, and Yamal was right there in the middle of it. At 19 years and 6 days old, he became tied for the 4th youngest player ever to win a World Cup and the 3rd youngest player to ever appear in a World Cup final, behind only Pelé in 1958 and Italy's Giuseppe Bergomi in 1982. ESPN. Here are a few numbers that make this even more ridiculous. Back in 2025, at just 18 years old, Yamal finished runner-up for the Ballon d'Or, the sport's most prestigious individual award, usually reserved for players a decade older. He wore Spain's number 19 shirt at this World Cup, the exact same number young Messi wore for Argentina back at the 2006 World Cup before Messi became, well, Messi. And he made his senior international debut for Spain in 2023, becoming the youngest player in the country's history to ever represent and score for the national team at just 16 years old. Even Yamal's own words capture what this all means to him ahead of the tournament. He told FIFA.com it gave him goosebumps just to think about being part of it. This wasn't a kid chasing a paycheck. This was someone who understood exactly what he was stepping into. Here's the thing about Yamal's 2026 World Cup that goes beyond the highlight reels. Football has always loved its generational torch-passing moments, and this one was almost poetically staged. Messi, 39 years old, started 3 World Cup finals, becoming just the second man in history to do so, and became the oldest outfield player to ever start a final, chasing one last piece of history. Standing across from him, a teenager who wasn't even born the first time Messi played international football. Spain's win wasn't a fluke either. This was a team built on defensive discipline as much as attacking flair, conceding just 1 goal across the entire tournament, the fewest ever by a champion in World Cup history, with 7 shutouts, the most by any team in a single tournament. Yamal became the first ever teenager to win both the European Championship and the World Cup, 2 of the biggest trophies in the sport, collected before most players even get a real run of first-team football. That's the story here. Not just talent, timing, resilience through a quiet stretch of criticism, and showing up exactly when it mattered most. So when people ask why Lamine Yamal matters, this tournament is the answer. He wasn't the tournament's top scorer. He didn't dominate every single game. But when the stakes were their absolute highest, a World Cup semifinal, a World Cup final, against the greatest player of a generation, he didn't shrink. He started, he contributed, he won, and he did it all before turning 20. Football will remember 2026 as the year Spain reclaimed the World Cup, but it might also remember it as a tournament where the sport's next great era officially began. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe. We're covering every major storyline from this World Cup, one player at a time. And drop a comment. Do you think Yamal can win a Ballon d'Or before he turns 20? Let's talk about it below.